Welcome to the CIY Podcast. My name is Jamie. I am your forever host and sometimes co-host. Now, what does CIY stand for? CIY stands for Create It Yourself, but it's also a play on DIY because this podcast will mostly focus on, creating the home that you envision for yourself, whether you are the homeowner or whether you are renting. And so we really want to encourage and inspire people to create things themselves through DIY or through just, obtaining things at an accessible level. This podcast is really for the non-traditional person, non-traditional homeowner, the person who doesn't have a lot of resources, because those are the people who make up my community. I'm a Black immigrant woman, Caribbean woman from Jamaica, very proudly Jamaican. And throughout my life, I've had a lot of obstacles on my pathway to be owning a home, but just in general. And it's given me a very unique perspective and a unique view on life. And so I want this podcast to speak to people like me. And why a podcast? There's so many podcasts out there, but when I was looking for a podcast to listen to while I was painting a space in our home, I realized there are not a lot of DIY podcasts. And there certainly weren't any from people who look or sound like me. And I believe in the CIY path, which is create it yourself. I've done it several times throughout my life. Most notable is me creating an organization that became very impactful. But now, as I am building out my home, it's very important because we all know outside is very stressful right now. And I think it is especially important in this time to create your own peace, like making sure where you lay your head is a source of peace for you. And so I have been putting a lot of effort into just changing our house, what I envision for it, having the colors that bring me joy, having the plants that bring me peace, and just like making sure that once I step into those four walls that like peace and joy abounds. And so this podcast is going to bring you information, resources, a little bit of unhingedness, and I hope some laughs, and just inspire you to do the same, whether you're doing it at work or you're doing it in your home or you're doing it at your apartment. We'll cover topics around money, because the reality of it is to own a home, you need money. So we'll bring guests on. Some of them will be people that I know, whether they're friends, or my husband, who is my forever roommate. We'll bring them on to just talk about different topics. And so we'll cover money, we'll talk about colors and painting and the magic of painting. And we'll just talk about what it's like to build a home in a two-person house, two people who are completely different. How do you merge that? And how can you do that in your space? But we'll, cover renter-friendly things as well. Like just because it's not your house doesn't mean that you can't make it out to be the way you want it to be, or that it can't bring you joy and peace. And the biggest thing I would say is do not wait until you own that house. I used to say, when I get home, I'll get a nice pot set and I'll do this and I'll do that. And how many years in and I haven't got the nice pot set yet? I should have gotten it back then, and really and truly, when you're in an apartment or in the basement of a relative's or whatever, it's not a dress rehearsal. You're still living your real life. So you need to do the real things that will bring you real joy and have you living in a way that you want. So don't put it off. Don't procrastinate, because tomorrow is not promised. And you might get to that place and you're not where you were back then, and probably don't have as much resources back then, because what we will also talk about is how much money it takes to own a home. So you might not even have the funds to do what you could have done back then. So we'll just cover the gamut of it. But, in everything that we discuss, I really want it to be useful, and to just trigger something in you, spark something in you, inspire something in you to go after what you want. And so there'll be some, we'll veer off here and there in the topics. We'll talk about The Walking Dead just a little bit, and we'll talk about, just different things, inspiring things. Jamaica inspires a lot in me, and I hope to bring this into this podcast is to lead my homeland and the joy and beauty of it, the land of wood and water, as we call it. And so, I hope you'll continue to listen. Please feel free to send suggestions. Check out the blog. I have a blog. It's called the website is CIYpath.com. And I am a writer, so you'll have some musings over there, have pictures of my home and things that like I'm working on, whether it's like, redoing furniture, whether it's painting, tiling. There will be a whole episode about tiling. Lord help us. But yeah, go over there, check it out, and join us here as well. Send us suggestions. Let me know if there are guests that you want to come back, topics that you want us to talk about, things that like, if I dropped some Jamaican dialect and you're like, I don't understand what that meant, you need to break it down. I am more than happy to be your Jamaican professor. And I don't claim to be an expert at all. This is just me as an advanced beginner, learning and unlearning several things and bringing you into it with me. I'm excited about this. I'm uncomfortable in this, but that's where all the beauty sparks and happens. So thank you for listening, and I hope you'll join us again. Bye.